Okay, so welcome to the second section of our discussion, and now let's talk about Rizal's life in abroad. Okay, so in this section, we're going to discuss Rizal's experience living abroad, and of course, it focuses on his observations and realizations while living somewhere far from his homeland, the different people he met, and the organizations he became part of that have contributed to the development of his national consciousness. Okay. So, yeah, in 1882, after finishing his fourth year at the University of Santo Tomas, so Rizal left for Spain to continue to continue his studies there. And according to some accounts, Rizal left the Philippines as part of a secret pact with his brother Pasiano. So with only few people aware of this or of his departure, not even his parents nor his lover Leonor Rivera, Rizal left the Philippines bound for Spain to observe life abroad and to write a book displaying Filipino nationalism. So in his journey, he was able to establish connections that facilitated the campaign for reforms in the Philippines while trying to conceptualize his book. And of course, Rizal's trip was primarily funded by Pasiano, so who regularly sent him money for his upkeep. So when the agrarian crisis in Calamba took place, Rizal's allowance was delayed, and he had to pawn the diamond ring that his sister Saturnina gave him before he left for Spain. And he even had to cut his living costs, which meant skipping meals and eating tuyo. So Rizal also had the problems in paying rent, which forced him to move from one place to another. But nevertheless, Rizal never lost focus on his mission. So on his first visit to a foreign country, he witnessed how people in Singapore displayed a carefree attitude in whatever they did. So this was because their rights as citizens were respected and their authorities were not abusive. So he also traveled to Ceylon, now Sri Lanka, Egypt, Italy, and France before finally arriving in Barcelona, Spain. So in Spain, regularly met with some of his former schoolmates from Ateneo Municipal, and this partially relieved his homesickness. Of course, he also wrote articles for newspapers based in Manila, one of which was his first published essay, El Amor Patrio, or Love for Country. He also spent his time growing his personal library that included books on the lives of the presidents of the United States and the history of the English Civil War. Yan. So, in his collection of books, Rizal had favorites. Yan nga, unang-una nga ay yung kay Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher-Stowe and The Wandering Jaw by Eugene Sue. Yan. So, So these two books made Rizal empathetic towards the less fortunate and reminded him of the unjust relationship between Filipinos and Spaniards. So this became Rizal's motivation to start drafting his own book. So aside from reading and writing, Rizal was also overwhelmed by the courage and the camaraderie displayed by the Freemasonry. And it did not take long before Rizal joined the ranks. So through the influence of his uncle Jose Alberto, Rizal was given access to the Acacia Lodge of the Masonic fraternity. Rizal also met Don Pablo. Rizal also met Don Pablo Ortiga Irey, a former alcalde of Manila, whose house commonly served as meeting place for Filipino students in Madrid. He soon joined the group Círculo Hispano-Filipino led by Juan Ataide. He also regularly convened with his Filipino friends from Los Indios Bravos that included renowned painters Juan Luna and Felix Resurrection Hidalgo. Yan. So Rizal also busied himself with learning different languages such as English, German, and French. And despite his many engagements, Rizal still found time to continue drafting his book. And one of his greatest influence was, of course, Dr. Fedor Hagor, a German scientist and a traveler whom he met in Berlin. And Dr. Hagor's book inspired Rizal to do something to emphasize the education is the answer, that education is the answer to the Philippines' current social condition. Yan. And after the publication of Noli Me Tangere, Viola accompanied Rizal to Austria to finally meet Dr. Ferdinand Blumentritt, with whom Rizal exchanged letters and books for several years, and whom he considered as one of his advisors. After a few trips to Roma and other parts of Italy, Rizal returned to the Philippines to personally witness the impact of his novel. Yan. Tapos na. So that concludes the discussion of section 2.